Okay, so usually when I watch a right-leaning video, especially from large creators like this dude, usually it is overwhelming support. In the comments section and in the like bar, it's like there'll be thousands of likes to a few hundred dislikes, if anything, because unfortunately, right-wing content is very profitable and very prolific online. But today we actually have some good news. We've got a video from Matt Walsh, 120,000 subscribers, 117,000 views, called Leftism is Indistinguishable from Insanity, episode 582 of his fucking show, Jesus fucking Christ, that has been massive. I don't know why I auto-liked the video, probably because a button I pressed. But yeah, massively fucking ratioed. Massively fucking ratio. I'm going to add to that fucking ratio. 4.3 thousand likes to 14,000 dislikes. Look at that goddamn ratio. Oh my god. Why did you like the video? Never mind, you talked about it. There might be a button, like a hotkey, that automatically likes a video, or it could just be because I've gotten into the habit of liking almost every video that I click on, because it's just a habit. Like, part of it is so when a video autoplays, I'll know that I've seen it already, and the other part of it is because I like to support a lot of the channels that I watch, but sometimes it becomes muscle memory, so I don't know how it happened. Maybe it was caught on video, I don't know. Leftism is Indistinguishable from Insanity, episode 582 from Matt Walsh. Massively fucking ratioed. Let's just get right into it. Let's jump right into it. We got. I've already turned it up to 1.5 speed because it's so long, but let's just watch.
Today on the Matt Walsh Show, desperate Democrats grasping for any reason to hate Amy Coney Barrett have now decided that her use of the term sexual preference is offensive and horrible. The entire left decided in the span of 24 hours that this term is offensive. We'll talk about the implications of living in a culture where words change meaning so quickly, and also why the left's theory of sexual orientation completely contradicts their theories of gender. So that's...
Okay, so for one, there is plenty of shit to hate about Amy Coney Barrett. Are you okay? I just heard a lot of shit fall over in the other room. Worried my girlfriend just fucking died. Okay, so for one, the idea, the implications of living in a culture where definitions change often. Definitions are always changing as our understanding and our scientific view of the world changes. Our definitions for things are going to change, you know. That's just how things work. You know, if you're against that, then you're just against the idea of science in general. And yeah, definitions change. We understand the world better as time passes. We study things, we learn things, and definitions change. Those who are unwilling to go along with our new understanding of the world are regressive and dumb and deserve criticism.
We'll discuss all of that. Also, 5 headlines, including a new Biden ad reaching out to black voters that is, without exaggeration, the most patronizing and degrading political ad I think I've ever seen, and we'll play it for you. And in our daily cancellation, the NBA is canceled. Not just by me. This is a decision we all have made, and for good reason, I think. So we'll discuss that too. All that coming up. But first, let's talk about Lightstream. Now, I think many of us can say that
fuck you, grifting piece of shit. Wow, that sponsorship goes on for a hot minute. There we go. Let's get right to the end of that sponsorship.
Well, you know, it's immensely tempting to say that Democrat senators questioning Amy Coney Barrett during her confirmation hearings this week are engaging in quite a lot of mansplaining. The condescension is there, the unnecessary, long-winded lectures, the interruptions.
Holy fucking shit. There is nothing more just glorious to me than right-wingers using like virtue signaling, right? Like, you claim to be against sexism, but you're criticizing a woman. Mansplaining. It's so embarrassing. Like, my dude, just argue against the ideas. You don't have to play the identity politics game when you relentlessly try to criticize identity politics, yet engage in it yourself.
They're even using poster boards and other visual aids to get their points across. The only reason I won't call any of this mansplaining is that the term is vapid and stupid and used unironically only by people whose minds have been warped by politics and ideology. Still, by the left's rules, applied equitably, as they like to say, it must be concluded that
what he's doing right now is trying to do right now is distance himself from the term while also using the term unironically. It's very clever. What he's doing right now is saying, now I wouldn't actually use the term mansplaining because it's very, very dumb and it's a bad term. But by the way, by their definition, they're actually mansplaining here. So he gets to basically use the term mansplaining while also sort of distancing himself from the term to his audience of right wingers. It's very, very clever.
Barrett's inquisitors are sexist bullies, even the women who are apparently infected with internalized misogyny or some such nonsense. But if the meaning and application of mansplaining changes according to the political needs of the moment, at least the word is contrived and meaningless.
This is the interesting thing. Here, I'm going to try to explain this to conservatives, okay? If white people can have white guilt and hate themselves for being white, which a lot of right-wingers like to say, then why can't it be the same for black people or for women? You say the same thing. It's the same thing. The same alleged thing. You claim that white people can have white guilt. Why can't black people have black guilt or hate themselves for being black? Or women hate themselves or having prejudice against themselves or being women? It's the same line of logic, my dude.
From the start, the left invented that term. I suppose they can do whatever they want with it. The far more disturbing thing is to witness how real words that existed before our era of woke politics, are now redefined with rapid speed on the fly and with coordinated
rapid speed.
The hearings have provided us with perhaps the most glaring and most striking example of the left's language manipulation scheme that we've seen yet. And we talked about
I'm sorry reality tends to have a left-leaning bias. I'm sorry that scientists and sociologists and basically those that do the research that end up having general society come to the conclusions and the opinions that they come to, and thus shaping our definitions, tend to be left-leaning. It's almost like you are pushing back against the entire apparatus through which we understand the world and study and learn new things. In other words, you're a conservative.
The game they're playing with the term court packing already, but this is way worse than that. So on Tuesday morning, as you ate your breakfast burrito, the term sexual preference was perfectly normal, perfectly acceptable.
I don't have the keys, Lonnie.
And if you used it anywhere, everyone would know what you meant, and almost nobody would think to be offended by it. By bedtime,
Lonnie, the keys are probably in your purse, which we were unable to find the other day, so I don't know. If you can find your purse, you'll probably find the keys. I don't have them.
As you crawled beneath your covers, sexual preference had become an unspeakable slur. In the span of 18 hours, this new meaning had been adopted by the media, politicians, even the dictionary itself. Anyone who wasn't paying attention.
This hasn't happened overnight at all. So here's the thing. When it comes to sexual preference, sexual preference, gender, all of these things, who you're attracted to is very, very complicated, okay? So sexual preference and the terminology and the word as it's used isn't really scientifically accurate with how we understand the preference towards a certain gender or type of person, you know? So Matt Walsh would disagree with this, but the scientific community agrees with this, that gender is a social construct that can be changed. For example, I think most people would look at, let's see, let's find like a, so here, I want to find a really extreme example for you. This is Valentina Sampaio. This woman is trans, and she was the first trans woman to be a model for Sports Illustrated. I think we can all agree she's fucking gorgeous, okay? Most, even straight guys who are transphobic would not be able to deny the fact that this is an attractive fucking woman, okay? Let's be fucking honest here, okay? But the fact is that, most likely, at least when it comes to biological sex as it used to be seen, back when the term sexual preference was used and was more scientifically accurate, though our understanding of these things has evolved and definitions have changed, this woman would still be considered male. And so the term sexual preference would indicate, with our old definitions and old understanding of these things, that a straight guy who's attracted to this woman would be attracted to a male and thus would be gay. That is fucking ridiculous, okay? A straight dude I'm attracted to this woman and I am straight. That does not make me gay. I'm sorry. Science evolves as our understanding of these things evolves, and we view the world in different ways as we study the world, study psychology, we study biology, we study all these different fields, sociology, what have you. Our understanding of the world changes. Those that are terrified to change their opinions with science are stupid. And they are anti-science. They are anti-reality. They are against the concept of learning new things just principally. So yeah, that is why the term sexual orientation isn't necessarily a scientifically accurate term anymore, and why our understanding of these things has changed and developed, along with that of the scientific community.
To the news on Wednesday will no doubt use this newly minted gay slur at some point in the future and be utterly baffled and horrified by the looks and breathless chastisements that follow. That, of course, is part of the plan. So how did this happen?
Oh, I also wanted to get into this a bit more as well, because even beyond gender, our understanding of these things goes even further. There are straight dudes who are attracted, at least a little bit, to femboys. Let's find a femboy. Here's a femboy. Look at this femboy here, okay? There is no doubt that even if you're a straight dude, you may have like a weird sort of like, I'm not gay and I'm not into dudes, but like this femboy kind of does something for me, right? A lot of straight dudes. Yeah, the Discord shirt, you know? And that's the thing though, because we associate attraction to certain groups way more with gender than we do with sex. A lot of the features that this femboy has, this person who, I Googled femboy and this is what came up. A lot of the features this person has, like the smooth legs, the face, the hair, all these things are things we typically attribute to women and have been through society have been conditioned to be attracted to. So even though we're seeing it on a guy, we still find those features to be attractive. So would it be gay for a guy to acknowledge that some of these features are attractive? Well, no. No, not really. Not exactly. Like, this body type and a lot of the features this femboy has are things that we would typically associate with that of women. That's why we're attracted to it. So, of course, going from that logic, is that pyro? Yeah, this is pyrocynical, by the way. Just don't tell anybody, okay? It's pyrocynical. You would still be viewed as straight. It's really, really complicated. Sexual orientation, and gender and who you're attracted to, all of these things, it's very, very complicated, okay? It's not this like straightforward binary that conservatives like to paint it as, because I guess they're just afraid of change and the advancements of our knowledge of the world.
Course of the confirmation hearings early on Tuesday, Amy Coney Barrett responded to a question about gay rights, and she said that she would, quote, never discriminate on the basis of sexual preference. Here she is in her own words. Listen.
And I do want to be clear that I have never discriminated on the basis of sexual preference and would not ever discriminate on the basis of sexual preference. You know, like racism, I think discrimination is abhorrent.
Gasp. Shocking.
How much you want to bet that he cut that out mid-word for a reason? Also, the reason why she's probably getting shit is because no one fucking believes her. Her track record gives no indication that she would not discriminate on these boundaries, okay? A fucking course. There's no reason to suspect that she wouldn't discriminate upon these things. Guess what? Bigots lie. People who are racist or homophobic lie all the time. That's what the whole Southern strategy was about, my dude.
Well, not really. To most observers, this seems like a totally normal statement, hardly noteworthy. But some on the left, sensing that Barrett would give them few opportunities to be offended, decided to make do with what they had. So leftist Twitter accounts began setting the stage, claiming that the judge's use of the term...
Is he about to show a bunch of 1,000 follower, 2 liked, a few hundred tweets on Twitter? Is that what he's about to do? If he does, watch the claims even from those accounts not even be that unreasonable.
Sexual preference is somehow abhorrent, all of a sudden. It wasn't before, it is now. Kyle Griffin, an MSNBC producer with almost 1 million followers, was early on the bandwagon,
tweeting, a big one,
actually. Sexual preference, a term used by Justice Barrett, is offensive and outdated. The term implies sexuality is a choice. It is not. News organizations should not repeat Justice Barrett's words without providing that important...
That's actually true, yeah. It's a little lib shitty. I think, trying to focus on that one word or that one term is kind of dumb, but it is true. What he's saying right now is true. There is an implication when you have somebody who has a history of... for example, blocking what was it? It was somebody. She ruled against stopping people from discriminating against during hiring when it comes to sexual attraction and whatnot. Yeah, there is an implication there, especially with a conservative like her, that they view attraction or being gay or whatever as a choice, which is pretty reasonable considering her views. Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, is there plenty more to go after her there for, like the idea that she is lying, which the evidence would suggest she was? Sure, but he is correct here.
Context. Various others joined the chorus. Eventually, they seem to have attracted the attention of Senator Mazie Hirono, who leapt into action. That evening, Hirono circled back to scold Barrett, calling her choice of language offensive and outdated, repeating Kyle Griffin's tweet verbatim. She then explained that only, quote, anti-LGBTQ activists use the term because they want to suggest that sexual orientation is a choice, when in fact, says Hirono, it is a key part of an individual's identity, and it is, she says, immutable. Listen.
This morning, Senator Feinstein asked you a question about the Supreme Court's 2015 decision in Obergefell v. Hodges, a case in which the court recognized the constitutional right to same-sex marriage. And I was disappointed that you wouldn't give a direct answer on whether you agreed with the majority in that case, or if you instead agree with your mentor, Justice Scalia, that no such right exists in the Constitution. So even though you didn't give a direct answer, I think your response did speak volumes. Not once, but twice. You used the term sexual preference to describe those in the LGBTQ community. And let me make clear, sexual preference is an offensive and outdated term. It is used by anti-LGBTQ activists to suggest that sexual orientation is a choice. It is not. Sexual orientation is a key part of a person's identity. That sexual orientation is both a normal expression of human sexuality and immutable was a key part of the majority's opinion in Obergefell, which, by the way, Scalia did not agree with. So if it is your view that sexual orientation is merely a preference, as you noted, then the LGBTQ community should be rightly concerned whether you would uphold their constitutional right to marry.
And then, expectedly, Cory...
Yeah, no, that's completely reasonable to ask. We have a court justice who is, well, she's now a court justice, yeah. A court justice who has historically been pretty anti-LGBT, who has used a term that is now within the scientific community viewed as as outdated because of the implication that sexual preference means like, oh, you just prefer it, like it is a choice. You just kind of decide to be gay. Which, holy shit, if that was the case, then you'd imagine there'd be a lot more gay people, right? But yeah, wow. Getting mad over this is no wonder he got ratioed so hard. He's really grasping at straws here. It's pretty crazy.
Booker, never missing an opportunity to grandstand, also jumped in to register his objection to the term.
Judge Barrett, 5 years ago, the Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution protects the rights of same-sex couples to marry. This was a Obergefell case, which has been discussed today. The court declared the Constitution grants LGBTQ Americans equal dignity in the eyes of the law. Hundreds of thousands of couples have built their lives on this decision. I've married some of them myself. On that day 5 years ago, the court fulfilled really that ideal of equal justice under law. And yet now the same-sex marriage is legal. We've seen efforts to try to undermine that decision. Justice Ginsburg wrote about legal rules that would, quote, create two kinds of marriage, full marriage and skim milk marriage. I firmly believe that our laws shouldn't allow discrimination against people on the basis of who they are. I have a number of questions on this topic if I can get through them, but I wanted to offer you a further opportunity to address the issue that...
Well, no wonder he's getting fucking ratioed. He's just taking clips of these people asking, are you going to use your power as a court justice to rule against constitutional protections for gay people to be able to get married? Which there's a very good case that she will attempt to do that. You're just mad that your fucking right-wing court justice that'll have the court stacked in favor of conservatives is actually going through the process and being questioned about her beliefs.
I don't think you got to fully address that my colleague brought up. When you did use the term sexual preference earlier today, rather than sexual orientation, is there a difference and what is it?
Senator, I really, in using that word, did not mean to imply that I think that, that it's not a matter of, that it's not an immutable characteristic or that it's solely a matter of preference. I honestly did not mean any offense or to make any statement by that.
But by what you just said, you understand about that immutable characteristic. In other words, that one's sexuality is not a preference, it is who they are. Is that what you're saying?
Senator, I'm saying I was not trying to make any comment on it. I fully respect all the rights of the LGBT community.
Slimy. That was a yes or no question. That was a yes or no question right there. That was, so you acknowledge that that sexual orientation is a immutable characteristic and that you will not discriminate against these people based on their beliefs. And she says, well, I didn't mean to offend it. Like all that was you could just say yes. She could have just said yes. When you have a question like that is a yes or no question, when he is clarifying the opinion that he was getting at, like, so you believe this? The answer is not, well, actually, it's yes or no. That is a yes or no question. No wonder people, yeah, no, this is sketchy as fuck. That is a yes or no question.
Obergefell is an important precedent of the court. I reject any kind of discrimination on any sort of basis.
And then it was off to the races. Slate, Jezebel, Vox, other outlets all joined the dog pile, publishing articles condemning sexual preference as offensive, degrading, bigoted, a dog whistle. We must say...
I mean, it can be. I mean, when you consider somebody with this... So here's the issue, guys. Listen. You can never really know what's going on in somebody's head, right? You really can't. Nobody is a mind reader. Contrary to what fucking crazy new age type people would tell you, nobody's a mind reader. You can't know what somebody actually believes or what they will do. All you can do is sort of inductively reason based on what they say and do presently. So Amy Coney Barrett has a history of being anti-LGBT. Her mentor, I guess, Justice Scalia, very anti-LGBT. There is a lot of reason to suspect that she is also anti-LGBT, just based off of her actions and off of, where she comes from. So it is not unreasonable that when she uses a term that is notoriously outdated by the scientific community in regards to sexual orientation, and suggests, with the implicit use of that term, that being gay is a choice, that maybe it's worth asking her to clarify. That's all that happened here. The people that were doing the hearing, deciding whether or not she should be a court justice, were asking her to clarify her words, and then news sites reported on that event. That is all that happened there. They asked her to clarify, and then news organizations did their job and reported on what happened. And he's getting fucking triggered.
Orientation, not preference, they all suddenly agreed. Our sexuality is not a preference. It is ingrained. It is fundamental. It is an unchangeable part of our essence as human beings. And to cap it all off, Webster's online dictionary changed its definition of the word preference at the end of the night to note that it is offensive when applied to sexuality. Now, of course, dictionary definitions change to reflect evolving meanings and common usages, and that's fine. But the usage and meaning of preference has not evolved. The left, to include now the dictionary, is not merely noting a change in common usage, but trying to affect a change.
So we're probably going to wrap it up in a little bit because this is going on for a while. But I want to get to I want to get to the basic, the fundamental conspiracy theory behind being a conservative these days. To be a conservative and to not have all of your, oh wow, that was which do you like better, this or this? I'm gonna go with this. The fact is that conservatives are wrong. It's true. And to cope with the fact that they're wrong, conservatives constantly have to argue against the evolving definitions and new scientific understanding of the world, and they have to imply that there is some sort of like leftist conspiracy to change the definitions of words and whatnot to fit the SJW ideology. This is a conspiracy theory. They claim that that leftists have their hands in science and their fingers are in there, and they're pushing climate change, and they're pushing new definitions for words like gender and woman and what have you. It's just not the case. This is conspiracy mongering. And this is something I've realized over the year or so I've been doing this, that to be a conservative, you more or less have to also be a conspiracy theorist. Conspiracy doesn't begin and end at QAnon and Pizzagate and whatnot, or Flat Earth and anti-vaxxing. It begins with just being unwilling to accept the new understanding of how things are and claiming that there is like a leftist agenda in the scientific community, and that's why the terms for these definitions and whatnot are changing. It's very embarrassing on their part, and I'm glad this video got ratioed and recognized for how bullshit it is. 'Cause it's nice. It's nice seeing genuine pushback against these people. I don't know why this got ratioed so hard. I don't know who tweeted it or who made a video responding to it that got it ratioed, but hey, why not go contribute to that ratio? Speaking of conspiracy theories, I actually do want to do a video on QAnon in the future, but QAnon's very complicated, and I want to do it right. And so in the future, I will absolutely cover QAnon and other crazy fucking right-wing conspiracy theories. But I feel like this is a good place to stop because it highlights how fucking insane conservatives are. Or I shouldn't use insane, because they're not like, there's no like mental disability going on here at all, really. It's willful ignorance. They recognize their views do not hold up and are not congruent with that of reality, and so they try to warp reality to match their narrative. And in this case, it's claiming that leftists have their hands in science and are pushing them to certain conclusions, when it has always been the case that the science and reality has always had a left-wing bias. It's true. I got the Matt Walsh video as a YouTube ad, and I imagine that's why I got ratioed. That's true. I got it as a YouTube ad as well. I've had this video. I've gotten that video in my recommended a few times. It's probably why. A ton of left-leaning people who watch Breadtube stuff probably got the video recommended to them, saw it, and was like, God, get this the fuck out of my recommended, and went and disliked it. That's probably why. Yeah, I imagine that's probably why. Anyway, listen. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. It helps a lot. If you're new, leave a sub, ring that bell icon. It helps a lot with the channel. YouTube doesn't notify you if you just subscribe. You have to ring the bell icon. It's the only way you'll know when I go live or when a new video goes up. In the description, we also have a link to my Discord server. Big community of people, lots of leftists, really fun time, really cool. We got 5,000 members in there, over 5,000 members in there. It's great. And on top of that, if you want to support me financially, which I highly appreciate because all of my money comes from ad revenue, not much, and donations and subs from my community. So you can sub to me on Patreon, or you can donate or sub through the website, xanderhall.com/live. Or if you're on YouTube, you can even become a member. You can click the join button beneath the video, and you'll get tons of extra privileges and stuff like that on YouTube, whether it be having a little mark next to your name in chat, or having your messages. I believe your comments go to the top of the page or the comment section if you become a member. So yeah, definitely check that out. It's all in the description, and hopefully you enjoyed the video.